name's Lance Corporal Noble. I'm a JTAC with the 15th MEU ArmA3 Realism Special Operations Capable Unit, and I just wanted to introduce you to my series about JTACs, about what we do, and the tools at our disposal that help us do our job. So the first thing we're going to go over today is probably the most important tool in the JTAC's arsenal. For any of you that don't know, a JTAC is a Joint Terminal Attack Controller. Our job is to bring the munitions the aircraft carry, as well as artillery, down on the enemy that could be harming our boots on the ground. So as I was saying before, the most important tool that we have is what's known as a 9-line CAS brief. What that is essentially, it's a briefing that you give to pilots in the form of 9 lines that allows them to provide close air support. The card you'll see in front of you is what a 9-line CAS card looks like. The initial thing you'll see is the type control and effect clearance through what your call sign. What that is there's 3 types of control that a JTAC will have an aircraft under. Type 1 control is when a JTAC can acquire visual on both the aircraft and the target. What this means is I can see the aircraft and I can also see the target at the same time. What this allows me to do is to visually ensure that the aircraft is on the right attack vector and isn't going to be striking anything that it shouldn't be hitting, such as civilian targets, friendlies, or anything like that. And acquiring the target, make sure that the target is still in the position that I called it on, that it's not moving away from where it can't be struck, or anything like that. Type 2 control is when you cannot acquire visual on either the target or the aircraft. When you're using Type 1 and Type 2 control, when the aircraft calls 30 seconds, you're going to say cleared hot. The final type of control is Type 3. This is when it's the same as Type 2, where you can't establish visual on either the target or the aircraft, but it also allows the aircraft to engage multiple targets. Because of this, when you have an aircraft under Type 3 control, instead of cleared hot, you use cleared to engage. So if you're running an aircraft under Type 1 control, it would read Type 1 control and effect clearance through Griffin 6 tree, or whatever your JTAC's call sign is. So the first line is the initial point, or battle position. What this is where an aircraft will start its run. For a fixed-wing aircraft, you want to start it about 3 to 5 clicks out. So we'll put one out here. The one we put out here, we'll call it IP Jack Daniels. The reason why you want to put it this far out is that it gives the aircraft long enough to acquire the target, lock the target, or see the target, and give them time to engage. If I were going to set up a BP, you're going to want to use the terrain for that. An excellent place to put a BP on a map like Chernarus, where you have huge hills, is behind a hill. So if I were to put one down in this little valley, which is surrounded by hills, we could call it BP Grey Goose. It protects the aircraft and allows them to stay safe, no matter what's going on around them, because they can pop up, they can shoot their ordnance, and then they can drop down below the sight of the enemy, therefore exposing them to the minimum amount of fire possible. The next line, line 2, is the final attack heading, and then there's offset left or right. What this is the final attack heading from your IP or BP to the target. So that is, like I said before, it's read from the IP/BP to the target. And offset left or right is if your target is a little bit off to the left or a little bit off to the right of that bearing. Line number 3 is the target distance. You're going to read that in kilometers. What that is the distance from the IP or BP to the target. Elevation. Elevation is measured in MSL, which is mean sea level, which is how ARMA maps are read. If you look on the map and it says like 13 meters, that means that area is 13 meters above the sea level, which is 0, which is right here. Or if you have something that's 158 meters, it's 158 meters from sea level. So you're going to read altitude and MSL. The target description is the next line. What that is what it is. If you have an enemy squad in the open, then you would say squad in the open. If you have a T-100, T-100.
You're also going to want to say something identifying next to it. So you could say T100 next to the 10-story building, T100 next to the bridge. Something that's going to allow the pilot to see what you're talking about and readily acquire the target. The target location. This is read in a grid format. The standard is the 6-digit grid, which brings it into a 100 by 100 area. If you're going to call an 8-digit, you say break, break, stand by for 8-digit, and you read the 8-digit. The reason why you say that is so that the pilot doesn't get confused as to what you're talking about, and they know that you're about to give them an 8-digit. Target mark. This could be whatever the target is marked by. It could be smoke, it could be a laser designator, an IR laser, it could be a chem light. It is also acceptable to say no mark. Number 8 is the nearest friendly. Whenever you have friendlies nearby, you're always going to want to call it in. So anything less than a kilometer for air support is danger close. Anything less than 5 meters needs direct authorization from the commanding officer. So how this is read is in cardinal directions from the target. So you could say friendlies 700 meters north, danger close, marked by green smoke. Whenever there's a danger close, friendlies need to mark themselves with green smoke so the aircraft can readily identify that. The last line in the 9 line is the egress vector. So if you have them coming in from the north, you could say egress to the south. If you have them coming in from the west, egress to the east. It's the easiest to keep them on a straight line so they don't have to do any crazy turns, and just allows them to fly in, drop the ordnance, and fly out. Once you say all of these lines, you are going to say stand by for remarks or correct the pilot. If he reads it back perfectly to you, you go stand by for remarks and you read the remarks. Remarks would be anything relevant to him, such as enemy AA in the area, friendly, what's going on the ground, as well as the munitions. Munitions are always included in remarks.
Alright, so now we're going to prepare a real 9-line. If you see down there, we have a T-80 on the road, so let's say for a second that our ground commander has said that, hey, we need to blow up that T-80. It is a direct threat to our friendly forces. So I go up on the map, I see IP Jack Daniels. So whenever you're doing a 9-line, you want to make sure that you have a pen and paper at hand so that you can write it down. So JD, final attack heading from that is pretty much due west. So if you pull out your compass, about 270. Target distance would be 6.5 kilometers. Elevation. To get elevation, you just look at your map. Look where it is. It's on the road. So that's about 11 meters. Target description is a T-80 on the MSR. Target location. So in the 15th, we have this thing called the Smidger. What it does is it allows you to automatically get a 10 or 8-digit grid. How you do it is you go to data link, laser des, and then now it's waiting for my target. Pop it up, lays the target. So this grid would be 0, 8, 3, 9er, 1, 2, tree, 0. Now that I have my location, my mark is going to be a laser. And it's going to, and there's going to be friendlies 700 meters to the north, danger close, marked by green. And since they're coming in from the east, we're going to have them egress to the west. So here's how it would sound on the radio. Viking 201, this is Griffin 63, Type 1 controls in effect. Jack Daniels 270, 6.5 kilometers, 11 meters, break. T-80 on the MSR, break, 8-digit grid, 0, 8, tree, 9er, 1, 2, tree, 0. I say again, 0, 8, tree, 9er, 1, 2, tree, 0. Marked by laser. 700 meters to the north, danger close, marked by green smoke, egress to the west, how copy. At this point, he's going to call back to me. He's going to have everything that I just said written down, and he's going to say it back to me. If he says anything wrong, I would say correction. So let's say he says T70 on the MSR. Viking 201, all correct, except target description, break, target description, T80 on the MSR. By doing this, I just ensure that he has it, and then he'll read it back to me. At this point, I'll say Viking 201, Griffin 6 tree, stand by for remarks. Remarks to follow. ×1, AGM, break. Enemy AA present in the area, use caution. How copy. He'll read it back to me. If he does it all correctly, he'll be good to go. At this point, he'll call 30 seconds. Since I'm under type 1 control, I'll say cleared hot, lays hot. At this point, my laser, as you can see, is hot on the target. He'll be able to lock on, fire, and make it go boom. So that is how you conduct a 9-line CAS briefing. I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions, feel free to put it on the YouTube page and I'll answer them as best I can. For the next video, we're going to be doing calls for fire. That is using artillery or mortars. So stand by. As always, like, subscribe, and let your friends know. And hope you guys learned something today. This is Noble signing out.